First stalls in the NHL play on that rink in Thunder Bay where the boards were as high as the glasses in any of the NHL rinks. That's the scene, June 7, 97, Steve, and might as well follow up on what Jordan was talking about. The Stanley Cup playoffs, that was the documentary we shot actually in 2002, that image of you there. But what makes the playoffs special?
Well, I think just everything is hyped up in the playoffs. The intensity of the game is more, and with each round there's more eyes focused on your series, and now with just two teams left in the final, the whole hockey world is focusing on it, and for a player, it's the most exciting time you'll ever experience.
You mentioned when you went into New Jersey, got swept by the Devils, it was like it hit you so fast that you weren't ready for a Stanley Cup championship, and maybe, do you think the Penguins ran into that a year ago?
Well, I think, early in the series last year, you definitely saw some signs of youthful enthusiasm, the excitement about being there, just from being around the locker rooms and in the arena. I know the first time there's so much going into it, there's so much hype, and I just, from going through it a second time, I can imagine they're much more focused on just playing the games. All the extracurricular stuff, the attention around the game becomes very secondary, and you just want to play. And I think going through it once will definitely make them a stronger component this year.
Yeah, you've always said Datsuk, one of the great competitors. It goes right through the lineup, obviously, but no Datsuk for game number one. Nick Lidstrom, Chris Osgood said it maybe the most revealingly when he said in game 5, we kind of ran out of gas against Chicago toward the end, but with our experience and with our system, we managed to get through it. So how bad is that sort of injury bugger going through the lineup?
Well, I think Nick's in tonight. Jonathan Ericsson, I'm still not sure if he's in. I believe he's in. Pavs, it's still day-to-day. We can just slowly get guys back. That's the one, the strength of our club in the last couple of years, I think, has been the depth and players being able to step up and play more minutes. And you saw Jonathan Ericsson come in when Andreas Lilly was down and play more minutes. And when Jonathan goes down, when Nick goes down, Brett Lebda steps up. Chelly comes in, who's obviously an older guy. I guess that's an understatement, but he can come in and play some minutes for us. And up front, whether it's been Pav go down, then Franz gets a little more ice time, or Cleary gets a little bit more ice time. So depth has been the real key to our success.
Chelios was unbelievable the other night. And last year when Detroit won it all, you stayed upstairs and then you went down, but you didn't go into the dressing room proper. You sat with Chris Chelios. Is that true, outside of the room, and just kind of greeted the guys a little bit?
I didn't want to go in the locker room because the champagne was flying everywhere, and I saw Mike Babcock come out drenched, and I didn't have a change of clothes, so I didn't want to. That was just common sense not going in there. But the players were in celebrating. They had their wives and girlfriends in the locker room, and then it was just the players. And I've had my time. I really enjoyed it. It was a great experience watching it. I was very proud of the team, the way they played, and to win it. And I enjoyed sitting back watching it.
Remember you pointing out Phil Peel had a bad knee, and he went through and played great. There's your depth. Okay, let's talk about the two keys, Crosby, Malkin. You had Messier, Gretzky, you had Sakic, Forsberg as two of the great 1-2 punches that you had to figure out how to shut down. What was the difference between those pairs, this one, and maybe how Jacques or Scotty or you approached it?
Well, going back into the mid-'80s, we really didn't have the horses to compete against Gretzky and Messier. We just kind of, we dumped it in. We iced it 1,000 times and slowed the game down as much as possible. And it was a different time when you could use your stick a lot more. And our defense, I remember that Gilbert Delormes and Lee Norwood just laid the stick on as much as they possibly could. And we hung on and both lost 2 years in a row in a 5-game series. Going into into the 90s, we were a much deeper team, much better equipped to play against Peter Forsberg and Joe Sakic, and now with Evgeny Malkin and Sidney, they're two tremendous players, and those are great examples. And they're better players this year than they were last. So again, our guys. I think Mike has two good, a couple solid defensive pairings he can put out against them, and we really feel like all 4 of our lines are pretty good defensively. So at home you can get your matchups. On the road, I think he's pretty comfortable with whatever line he has to put out there against them, that he'll be able to be responsible defensively.
Detroit wins it if what happens?
If we win 4 games, that's about as deep as I can get you.
Well, would it be, health is obviously a factor, but what about special teams, goaltending? What areas do you look at? Do you like opening face-offs? How you control them?
Well, one thing Scotty always looked at. He didn't really worry about the score from game to game. He worried about little things. It was face-offs, and Mike's a lot very similar in that. Your face-offs, your goals against. He looks at particular statistics to see what's important. But if I view this matchup, I look at the goaltending as relatively even, and both play the way they have. they've been two of the best goaltenders throughout the playoffs, so there's no surprise that both of these teams have made it. If we can get our defense healthy, I don't think there's a huge difference in the defense. We're a little bit more experienced, maybe some guys that score a little bit more, but I've watched their defense closely through the playoffs, and they play smart, they play hard. They're not giving up a ton, they're not playing wide open, and I think the additions of Guerin and Kunitz have given them a legitimate number one line with Sydney, and Evgeny Malkin is playing significantly better than he did last year, and he's got skilled guys to play with, so and their third lines and fourth lines have become very effective. So I think the teams are similar in the way they're structured, so it's pretty even, and we really, if we can get our guys healthy, obviously it's more important for us.
That's a tee up the game one. That's good. Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe and Ted Lindsay will drop the puck before the game tonight. Here's terrible Ted.
Hockey's not an easy game. You got to dedicate yourself. Your parents have to dedicate themselves at a very early age to get you to rinks early in the morning. You have to show appreciation of what your parents sacrificed. Their social activities on the weekends are in rinks. And so I think that humbles a person. It gives them a good basis of life or a simplicity of life, where you are thankful that you had the opportunity to play. And hockey players themselves you don't see too many of them with big heads.